Welcome. This is a lovely, lovely, lovely Wednesday morning. You're welcome to our show. This is Channel 196, Cool TV on Star Times. My name is Dapo Banjo, and I'll be running the show today with my co-anchor, Barrister Ishoma Aga Ine.
Good morning, Nigerians, and welcome to the show today.
All right, welcome to CrossFire. As usual, we have issues to discuss on the show today, topical issues, controversial issues. I mean, just think about it. But what we generally do or we focus on is just to ensure that you are kept abreast of what is going on in our country, our beautiful country, Nigeria. So we have a lot of stories to actually throw more light on the show. And we're not alone. Myself and Ishoma, we're not alone in the studio. We have this gentleman. Every time he comes around, it gives you room to expand your thoughts and for you to become, extremely, extremely more careful about what you say, how you say those things. I mean, because this is someone who will not only hit the nail on the head, but most of the times, it broadens your view about issues that has to do with politics in Nigeria. Welcome with us on the show this morning, Mr. Agbola Oba.
Thank you very much for the opportunity once again.
And welcome to the show.
It's
always amazing having you here.
To be honest with you, I'm honored and humble. At the point I thought I was shrinking and losing my obesity from the kind of good words he was saying. I wish words could make you lose your weight.
Like, seriously. Anyway, every time we have Mr. Agbola Oba on the show, it's always a very interesting time. You can fire on all cylinders just because you know you will get the right perspective to whatever issue that you're raising. We have a couple of stories that are making headlines, and top on these stories is the removal of the Inspector General of Police by the President, Goodluck Jonathan. Sulaiman Abba was taken out of office. Information reaching us is that the Inspector General of Police is compromised. Is already, fraternizing with the newly elected, party as they approach, the proper transition, the inauguration. And so we'll be throwing more light on that. And we'll be giving you update on the xenophobic attack as it spreads still in South Africa, and then some other very vital information as to what exactly government of African nations are doing to help ensure that South Africa rise up to the occasion and to ensure that this is curbed and nipped in the bud as soon as possible. So we'll be taking you through that. But our major story for today is that we'll be considering the transition and the preparation of the newly elected president, retired General Muhammadu Buhari. What has been done? How ready is the newly elected president? And then we'll be looking at it vis-a-vis all the preparations coming from the incumbent government and the transition program proper. So let's take our first story. IGP taken out of office. Another man announced immediately, RSA has been, declared as the acting Inspector General of Police. Why a lot of people are thinking that the president should concentrate on a proper transition, the handover process and all of that. Now the Inspector General of Police has been taken out of office. Is this a personal vendetta? Does it have to do with the state of, with the security state in the nation? What exactly could have necessitated the president, telling the Inspector General of Police at this point in time to leave office, and another man has been appointed immediately? We would like, as usual, Mr. Golaba, to help throw some light on that.
People confuse the fact that the president, because he's an outgoing president, and like the Americans usually refer to somebody in his circumstance, they say he's a lame dog president. They confuse that fact with impotence. When you are a lame dog president, you are not necessarily impotent. There are still constitutional powers that you have till the very last minute of your presidency. A lot of humiliating, a lot of condescending things have been done to this president subsequent to his concession of defeat to the incoming president-elect. We know a couple of days ago, about 1.5, 2 weeks ago, that the chieftains of some MDAs went as far as Daura, left Abuja, traveled to Daura to go and see the president-elect. We were initially told that he worked some of them out, and that this thing, later that was denied. But let's be very honest with ourselves. The person who appointed you is still in office, and you have the temerity and the cheapness of character to openly go and be obnobbing. I think essentially when we look at...
That's impunity.
I think essentially,
it's not so much
impunity. It's more of poverty mentality, wanting to survive beyond your appointor in office and going into brazen disregard for such. And human beings are human beings. We have reliable information that the Inspector General has now literally taken to welcoming and escorting the party of the president-elect to the airport.
He's become a protocol officer.
He's become like,
just became a protocol officer.
Your appointor is still in office, and you see, it's good that that gentleman, as somewhat humble as he is, and as somewhat forgiving as he is good that he is made a good example of the Inspector General of Police. Now, once it's been gazetted that he's been sacked, there's no power on the face of the earth anymore that can bring him back as Inspector General of Police. They can make him chairman of a Police Service Commission, they can make him this thing, but that thing they were scheming for, the capital has been put. Now,
but the point is that we have a couple of groups that are already, forming a form of coalition in favor of Suleiman Abba. We have it that they are already approaching the the elected president, to come against, the removal
that is totally superfluous now. His sacking was pronounced official yesterday. It was pronounced to take immediate that it was taking immediate effect. It must have been gazetted yesterday. There's no miracle worker anymore.
But is it true, because based on what I'm seeing here before me in this paper, is it true that other reasons for his sack was also because of how the roles he's been playing in Ekiti State in foiling the impeachment move and covering up the 19 APC lawmakers?
You see, when I am on a platform as hallowed as this, I want to be very, very careful not to work too much on speculation and to work around some discernible facts. Because we are information anemic officially in Nigeria, so we resort more to the rumor mills and whatever.
True.
What is at least known at this juncture is that Suleiman Abba has been sacked, and Bola Abba is happy. I must be very honest with you, because I may not quite like the politics of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, but he's a human being. And to be honest with you, in the backdrop of the fact that the man has done us good favor in this land, I'm an entrepreneur. If he has refused to live up to concede, I know what this society could have gotten to now. Yeah. For people to think that they can deliberately be insulting him and be treating him with condescension and humiliating him, especially those who are beneficiaries of his larger
simplicity.
True.
When I was in motion, we say,
anyway, Mr. Gbolaba, it's for us, it's just a trending story. We will see how events unfold on this particular issue, and then
I hope other chieftains of other MDAs will be circumspect enough to know that Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is now shooting from the hips, and nobody can go into any Western gunslinging job with him, if with a very exuberant and unappreciative spirit.
Wow.
All right. Anyway, even though everything about this particular story is that his sack is curious. It's suspicious. It's raising a lot of curiosity. People are wondering.
But it's a reality.
It is a reality. Okay. He's been sacked. Record have it. Like you said.
We can be
going by Gazette is already out of office.
We can be tea-leaf reading whether this is the. We can look for the omens in the stars.
All right. Let's move on here. Let's pick our next story. Let's just quickly.
Okay, so moving on to the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. So what are your thoughts and opinions on it, particularly as regards Nigerians also?
Okay. let me start from what most of our viewers would like to hear.
Okay.
Because you see, when you are privileged or fortunate to have a platform such as this, you must reason along with the reality of that is out there, and also be creative enough to put ideas into place that will go beyond the reality. The reality is that, and this is how I genuinely feel, xenophobia is bad for any society, especially when it is now over democratized in violence by inflicting physical, emotional, and commercial injuries on people because they are different, because they are different in color, before they are different in physiology, before they are different in culture, because they are different in religion. I have studied human civilization for 6,000 years. And most of the societies that are very prosperous on the face of the earth, from Persia to Greece to the Roman Empire to presently United States of America, Pax Americana, before the ascendancy of China, are usually societies that have perfected the art of building inclusive infrastructure for all the segments of society: minorities, women, youths.
Children.
Well, because diversity, especially under good leadership, creative leadership, very insightful leadership, diversity is a plus. But you see, having condemned the xenophobic attacks happening in South Africa now.
Before you explain that, my belief is that South Africa is actually, it's a country that has diverse culture. You can liken, the diversity to what we have in Nigeria in terms of religion, in terms of tribes, exactly, even political
cultures,
and
this thing. In fact, South Africa officially, let me tell most of the viewers who may not know, South Africa officially has 11 official languages.
Exactly.
11, not even in Nigeria do we have 11 official languages. We know that there are about 250 tongues
in Nigeria
as we speak.
But
South Africa has gone the extra mile to put in its constitution the recognition of 11 official languages. That shows that the country is very diversified, multicultural, and whatever. But you know what? At this juncture, I have to come to the reality. Wherever leadership has failed its people, and people find themselves in economically, commercially frustrating or asphyxiating circumstances, especially the Aboriginals, the first set of people they want to vent their spleen on would be people they perceive as foreigners doing well in their terrain where they are not doing well.
No, maybe encroaching, you mean. Maybe encroaching, you mean. Because, if they are actually doing well and the impact on their economy is dynamic enough to affect them personally, I doubt if they will, at any point in time, want to rise up against...
I gave an example not too long ago on your sister's radio station. Look at what is happening now in the Mushin area. Ladepo market is predominantly dominated by Igbo spare part sellers.
Yes.
Now, the face of the modern vehicles is more computerized, the face of the modern vehicles. And most of the guys who do mechanic works around the periphery of the Ladepo axis are mainly Yorubas. For those who are good in automotive mechatronics, who can engage with the modern technologies in modern vehicles, they get benefits from the fact that when people are buying spare parts from Chukuma will tell them, I know one boy. No vehicle will get computer, we know they do. It will call on Taju. But for those who have refused to retrain themselves from the kind of technologies with which they learned automotive maintenance and repairs 20 years ago,
they are still mundane.
The market is leaving them behind. Some of them now have turned to Oraisa parking vehicles apart from turning to rice parking vehicles, some of them have now turned to local thugs.
And they fix
always
wipers
saying,
instead of doing mechanical work.
The truth is that Chukwuma would ordinarily be your marketing agent if you were to know and be able to engage with the new face of technology.
That's very true.
Am I making a point?
It started at a point in time selling carburetor, but today he's upgraded. He knows everything about injectors. So he's upgraded his skill. He's widening his marketing.
Why don't you wonder why somebody they brought from the village about 3 or 4 years ago, who knew next to nothing, who could even barely pronounce English words, now 3 years after, will not only be calling what you need for you and be explaining to you. You know, say when that thing, when they do like this.
Now this thing they have.
Now O2 sensor you need. Because you know the O2 sensor, there are some foibles within that thing too that has to be addressed. The fact that some of our brothers too deliberately bring in parts that are bad. Why is it that when you go into Ladepo, we have to be balanced in the way we look at it. Why is it that when you go into Ladepo as an ordinary vehicle owner or motorist, most of the transactions you do there will border on fraud because items that are not good will be sold to you, and yet the people who sell those items to you will refuse to take it back once you have tried it and it's not working. So the leadership of our brethren in that market to also say, you know what, within this number of days, if you sell something to somebody and it's not fit for purpose in any respectable jurisdiction in the world, whatever you buy must be fit for purpose.
Ordinarily, that's even the provision of the sales of good law.
You
have a time frame where
fantastic.
you can
I've forgotten that you are a barista.
You must have value for money.
But you know what? This is a society where as soon as you leave that market, you don't turn your back on this thing and you come back and say, this is not the work.
Can we quickly link this? You're trying to paint a scenario,
I'm basically trying to say that what is happening in South Africa is the failure of leadership that is translated into 25% of the working age population being out of job. And when there is that much unemployment in any society, you are looking at the highest number of victims will be youthful people and usually colored people.
And in a society like South Africa where you pay social benefits for people who are not doing anything. So there's a full absolute dependency on the government.
I was once a guest on this program and on some other programs, and I say, you know what? Welfareism is good to the extent to which it is not done in a way that it encourages indolence. I know. I lived in England for almost 20 years. And I know certain areas of the Greater London area, Canning Town and whatever, that we've had 3 generations of people who have refused to work because of Baba, because of gyro. And you know what? You want me to shock you? About 15, 18 years ago, DHL, a major courier company, refused to be delivering items in Canning Town because whenever they take their vans there, their vehicles get vandalized and properties are stolen. So we must balance welfareism with the intention of using it as an incentive to make people improve themselves and acquire marketable skills. Am I making a point?
Yes.
So basically, as a Nigerian, the reality of South Africa is what South Africa is facing. As a Nigerian, I want to make sure that the condition that will be making more than 1,000 Nigerian youngsters to be applying for political asylum in South Africa every week, average of 1,000 Nigerians plus apply for political asylum in South Africa every week. When ordinarily in the last 4 years of Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's administration, as bad as it has been from my perspective, there is no single political prisoner I can point to. And yet Nigerians 1,000
rolling out
plus
on that
are
platform.
going
That
there.
Nigeria is not politically
So
stable.
it is also,
In
in
search
fact,
of greener
it is
pastures.
also an indictment that when people that much in droves leave the biggest market for the second biggest market in the region of the world, it is an indictment of the failure of our leadership too. Because when people have marketable skills,
and yet there are no possible endeavors where they can channel these skills. So obviously, it's as good as those skills.
many
But
of
also,
our
Mr.
many of our youngsters in South Africa, sorry ma, many of our youngsters in South Africa carry certificates but not skills. Not.
Very true.
Your certificates don't solve problems.
They don't.
People with knowledge and skills solve problems. And only people who solve problems are paid for solving problems. You can accumulate the best of certificates on the face of the earth. If we haven't solved my problems, you are indeed a source of irritation to me standing where you are, even when I know that you hold a certificate that claims that you can solve a problem that I know you can't solve.
Anyway, I mean, this is a story that is actually worth building on. I mean, as at yesterday, the last update we have on this, xenophobic spread,
and
is just
Mbizo was held.
Exactly.
The king, Goodwill Zwelithini, discouraged South Africans from
And Jacob Zuma.
attacking.
And Jacob Zuma deployed,
Jacob Zuma, Mchunu, the premier of KwaZulu-Natal province. You know, they have provinces for what we have for states.
Exactly.
They have 9. The incidents have been pronounced in KwaZulu-Natal, where the king, was quoted to have made the pronouncement that they made, pack your bags and go, and spread to Gauteng province, where you have Joburg, as you know,
Alexander area in
Soweto. It's not something just happening. In 2008, about 60 Zimbabweans were killed in the poverty-stricken area of Joburg. In January this year, 6 foreigners were killed in Soweto.
Well, 6 officially documented.
6 officially documented, and and the degree to which immigrants have been refused Medicare and other opportunities in South Africa.
But don't you think Nigeria should enforce some stringent, sanctions on South Africa against future occurrences?
What sanction can you enforce if you don't have much to play with?
No,
the only thing we can do.
I mean, we have a lot of South African
let's go there.
giants
Let's go there.
Anyway,
let's go there.
No.
Most of the employees of those South African giants are Nigerians. You want them to lose their jobs?
Well, no, not lose their jobs per se. But
An aspect of this xenophobic issue and the spread and probably the mismanagement of it, as such, would have been a very good dimension to go today. Because, I mean, there is a lot of diversification, the negative, the adverse effect of this spread in South Africa as it affects South Africa and other nations in the continent.
I'm in support of some very surgical retaliatory measures, not a bland one. Correct. One is, if you're a South African company in Nigeria,
by now they should have shut down.
If you're, no, we have to be very careful. If you're a South African company in Nigeria, we want to audit your employees list. Any job that a Nigerian can do, that South Africans are presently holding, South Africans and Chinese are presently holding, we want to tell you to
But there are so many other foreign nations in Nigeria.
Let's proceed on a break now. Let's proceed on a break now.
Only Chinese and South Africans.
See, if we go that route, we will not deal with the issue for today.
Okay.
I mean, there is always room. Our platform, is open for you. You have become like an anchor on this show. And so we'll go on a short break now. We'll go on a short break now. And then when we come back, this is a serious matter. And we just try as much as possible to make sure that you are comfortable listening to us and being a part of this show. We'll come back and then we will deal with the issue for today, and that is the preparation and the possible peaceful transition, of the current government into the newly elected government. Do stay with us and we'll be right back.